Okay, this is going to be a little bit more of a help video. I'm going to go over the assignment today after I read over the notes that were provided for you for volume as well. So, volume notes for finding the volume of triangular prisms. So, the formula for volume of a prism is volume equals the big B times H, and that big B means the area of the base of the prism. All right, so your steps today. You're going to find the shape of the base. And we're working with triangular prisms today, so they're all going to be triangles, people. They may not be sitting on their base, but you'll see two triangles across from each other. How do we find the area of this base, which is the big B in the formula? We're going to use the area of a triangle formula, which is 1/2 times the base times the height of that triangle. Notice that's a little b, so that's just the base of that triangle. Where the little b is the base of the triangle and the h is the height of just the triangle. How do we do that? We find the corner, the 90-degree angle, and those two numbers are going to be the base and height of the triangle we need. We're going to multiply those two numbers together and then take half or divide by 2. It's the same thing. And now you have the area of the base, or the big B in units, squared. And you want to write that down on your scratch paper. You need scratch paper today. There is absolutely no way that you can do these in your head. You cannot. You need scratch paper. All right, so you're going to write down that area number of the triangle, and then you're going to find the height of the box, which is called a prism. Remember, the height can be the length of the side that connects those two triangles together. It may not be up and down. It may be side to side. If the triangular prism is not sitting on the base, okay? And you're going to multiply that height or length, whichever you see, times your big B number, your area of that triangle, and then you have your volume. That's it. Okay. Remember, area covers a two-dimensional shape or a flat surface, and it's always in square units or units squared, like feet squared, inches squared, centimeters squared. Volume is the amount of space to fill up a three-dimensional shape, and it's always in cubed units or units to the third power or units cubed. Example, feet cubed, inches cubed, centimeters cubed. All right, so let's go to take a look at your work today. I'm not going to work them for you, but I am happy to give you some helpful hints along the way. Let's open this up and have a peek at it. So we're going to use that formula that was in those notes, okay? And you need to make sure that you write that formula down on your scratch paper before you even start. It is available in every problem, but you have to understand what it means. And the triangle formula is not there. So what I would do is I'm starting out on my piece of paper. I would write down both formulas. To find the area of a triangle, it's 1/2 base times height of that triangle, okay? Or base times height divided by 2, whichever way you prefer to write that. I would write that down. And then I would have this formula to use after I find the area. Okay, so let's look at our first triangular prism. Here it is. Again, this one is not sitting on its bases. The bases are the triangles. It is instead sitting on one of the sides. It has 3 rectangular sides, 2 triangular bases. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is find that big B. And remember that big B is the area of your triangle. So that is your big B, the area of the triangle. Okay, so that's the first thing I have to do. And I know the area of a triangle is either 1/2 base times height or base times height divided by 2. Remember to find those numbers. You look for your 90-degree or corner. There it is, 3 and 4. So I'm going to multiply 3 times 4 together. I know that you can get that answer. And then I'm going to divide that by 2. I'm going to write that number down. That is my area of that triangle in feet squared. Then I have my big B. Okay, I'll go ahead and do this for you. 1, 3 times 4 gives me 12, and half of 12, or 12 divided by 2, is 6 feet squared. So there's my area. Now all I have to do is take that. That's my big B. 6 feet squared times the height of this prism. And again, it's not sitting on its faces, so I'm going to look for the side that connects the two triangles together. There it is, 11 feet. And I'm going to multiply that together. And that is going to give me my volume in feet to the third power, or feet cubed. Okay? I know you guys can do that. So let me clear that. Let's look at the next problem. All right, same thing here. What's different about this one? It says find the volume of the triangular prism below and enter the correct volume, number only. So we're entering this answer. And notice this one is actually sitting on its bases, on the triangles. Hey, this one's actually sitting on the bases. So find the triangle, find your 90 degrees. There it is. This one, there's your 90 degrees. So the first thing you're going to do is find the area of that triangle at the bottom. Using the area of a triangle formula again. What's your area of a triangle formula? It's either 1/2 base times height, or base times height divided by 2. That gives you your big B in inches squared. Then when you're done with that and you write that number down, then all you have to do is multiply it times the height. And in this case, it is going up and down the side that connects the two triangles, and there it is. So you're going to take your area, you're going to use your base and height number here, you're going to put them in the formula, multiply them, then divide them by 2, or write that number down, and then multiply it times your height, and enter that number in. All right, let's look at the third one. Again, this one is sitting on its bases. So first thing we're going to do is, we need to find the volume. We've got to enter it in cubed inches. So all they want is you to enter the number only. You do not have to put the units on this. All right. The area, or the volume formula, is volume equals big B, which is the area of the base, times your height. So let's go find that area of the triangle. How do we find the area of a triangle again? It is 1/2 base times height, or base times height divided by 2. How do we find the base and the height? We find our 90-degree angle in that triangle. And here you go, 90-degree. There you go, base, height. You're going to multiply that. Then you're going to divide that by 2, and you're going to write that down, because that's going to be your big B. And you're going to have that number, even if it's a decimal, people. That's fine. Then, to finish off the formula, you have to multiply it times the height of the prism. And remember, that's going to be the side that connects the two bases. There we go, 6. So first I find the area of that triangle. Okay, do those two numbers, multiply them times each other, then divide it in half, or multiply it in half, or divide by 2, write it down. Then you're going to multiply it times the height of the box, which is right there looking at you. And you're going to have the number for that answer. All right. This one is not sitting on its bases. Instead, it's sitting on one of its sides. So again, your formula, and you're entering the answer. And this is going to be in feet cubed. But all you have to do is enter the number only. So again, you're going to use the formula. Volume equals the area of the base times your height. So find my base. It's a triangle. How do I know that? They're across from each other. All right. Find my 90-degree angle. I find my two numbers, base and height. Base times height. There you go. You multiply those two together. After you multiply that together, you're going to take half of it or divide it by 2 and write it down. That's your big B. Then all you have to do is take that number and multiply it times the height of the prism, which is the side that connects the two triangles, and there we go. All right, onward. Here we go. Another one that's not sitting on its bases. Instead, it's sitting on its side again. So we're using that formula again. Volume equals the area of the base times the height. The bases are triangles, and the area of a triangle, again, area of a triangle, 1/2 base times height, or base times height divided by 2. So you go find that 90-degree angle, and you have your two numbers. You multiply them times each other, then take half of that, or divide it by 2. Write that down. That's your area in centimeters squared. Then all you have to do is find the height of that box. And remember, that's going to be the length of one of the sides that connects those two triangles together. And there you go. Okay? All right. Onward. All right. This one is sitting on its bases. Okay? It is sitting on its bases. So we're going to use the formula. Volume equals the area of the base times the height. So I have bases that are triangles. So again, I'm using the triangle formula for area. Find my big B. Base times height, or base times height divided by 2. Doesn't matter which one you use. You go find your 90, and I see 6 times 6. I get 36 centimeters squared. Divide that by 2, and you're going to have 18, right, centimeters squared. There's your big B. Now all you have to do is multiply that times the height. That's the side that's connecting the two triangles, and there it is. Multiply it times 12, and you just put in the number only. Pretty much feel like I have given you enough help that you should not miss any of these. But if you need help, please make sure you ask for it via message. You know, if you're in class during the time, you most certainly can raise your hand and check your answer. All right, I hope you have a wonderful day. And these are volumes of triangular prisms.